Hi, I'm Brian Smith. In this video, I'd like to show you Holder from K-Devices, a simple but effective tool for creating drone-like textures and atmospheres. The input of your audio to be processed goes into the analyzer, and then into the slice store engine, which creates 8 slices of audio. The slices are read back according to the slice reading mode setting. The signal then goes into the dronizer for shaping the sound. Then the audio information is retranslated into the time domain with an IFFT engine, sent to the dry-wet mixer and then to the output. The input trigger tells Holder how to grab your audio. Using a noisy wind loop as an audio source, I'll turn Holder on and then reset the parameters to their default values. The 8th note trigger setting indicates that Holder is storing audio in its buffer in 8th note long slices. We'll turn up the void setting in the dronizer to hear the sound a little bit more clearly, and drop down the dry signal. Now we'll set the mode readout to 8th notes. And you can clearly hear the 8th note rhythm. Holder can really spice up drum loops by adding that little stuttering edge to your sounds. Here we'll just set the trigger length to 16th notes. When the trigger is set to automatic, Holder syncs its buffer slicing rate to Ableton Live's transport. When you stop the transport, the sound stops in automatic mode, unless the coda button is lit. This means that the audio remains in the buffer and will be processed even with Live's transport stopped. We'll switch to manual triggering and clear the buffer by clicking on the X. I'll turn down the dry a little bit. And by clicking on the trigger, I can grab a piece of sound anytime I want. In addition to time signature and subdivision settings, you can also set the slice rate in seconds. This gives you a trip-glitch way of grabbing slices which are not synced to the actual beat and tempo of your material. The mode panel determines how the slices are read back. Here's a voice loop, first the original.
I could feel the heat coming on my face at that distance, and they told us that we shouldn't...
And now with Holder's default settings. Let's change the readout rate to quarter notes. The random setting plays the frozen slices back in a random order. The second button plays one slice after the other, in order. And the last button just plays the first slice. If you play around with the settings of both the trigger and mode panels together, you can get a large variety of effects. Here I've deactivated tempo syncing for both slicing and readout. The dronizer shapes and tunes the frozen slices. Void mutes some of the audio bands and creates some very clear tuned intervals. Swarm injects some noise data into the signal, operating as a sort of amplitude modulation. It can add more body to the sound. Blur interpolates between the slices and erodes the clear-cut rhythmic nature of the slicing algorithm. If you play around with the settings here, you can get some very rich, evolving sound textures. Finally, the spectrograph gives you visual feedback as to what is happening to the audio. You can switch the spectrograph on and off by clicking on the square in the upper left of the display. I hope that you have enjoyed this video and that it will help you make Holder a valued device in your creative sound design toolkit.